And are you all doing different days, or are you all following the?
Well, I
pretty
wish
much
we
the same
would. You know, I
calendar?
mean, I half joke. You know, I want to call up same place at CNN or.
Yeah. Let's each pick a day of the week,
You know,
and
David
that's the
Challenge. It's
day.
like, come on, guys, let's not step on each other. It seems silly. CBS New York Times coming out tonight, which I'm glad about. We're not coming out.
Do you already have a sneak peek at it?
You know, not yet, but I probably, you know, those
You're
numbers will
hoping
leak.
to.
Those numbers will leak out. I'll be honest, it's never one of my favorite national polls, so I'm not. However, it can be a very influential poll.
Is there a
'cause it's the New
poll
York
for
Times.
which you have no respect?
Anything that's conducted automated, callers and.
And since
the internet has spawned a lot of pollsters.
Right.
I've always joked. There was an episode of The Simpsons a few years back where Homer Simpson buys an automated dialer machine
right.
at a garage sale, and he starts harassing all of Springfield with these phone calls and selling stuff.
Right.
And I swear to God, a couple of these posters that have popped up and are very prominent on some cable channels. They came out of nowhere, and it's like I really think they went to a garage sale and bought an automated dialer machine. And said, look, Ma, I'm a pollster, and you know, and now we've got these, you know. It's funny. There's this one site that I'm very impressed with. On one hand, it's called 538.com. It does all this. It takes all of this polling data and does this regression analysis and very sophisticated and very pinpoint accuracy. And I'm thinking, if you only knew the garbage methodology being used for the data you're using to do all this pinpoint accuracy,
right.
you'd be appalled. I mean, it's, you know, to do what it's.
And now you've got your new toy,
is a mess.
your new toy, the Surface.
Yes, that's fun.
Did Bill Gates personally teach you how to use it?
No, not quite.
But I saw a picture of like 8 people who were there to administer to you.
Look, this thing maybe, you know, this is their answer.
Dry erase board.
You know, well, no, but I think it's more of their answer to. I think they see this as a public internet machine. You know, that you'll see in Starbucks.
How long did it take you to learn it?
It's not long. It's very intuitive.
But you and Bill Gates didn't talk about it?
Normally he calls me for a lot of advice, but I told him not to do these Seinfeld ads. But
I could see.
You know,
Well,
I said Steve Jobs is always going to be cooler than you. Get over it.
But
he didn't listen. So.
But Seinfeld was smart to take the money. We won't fault him for that.
They're actually fun ads.
But young people typically are on cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Are they getting accurately polled?
Our poll does include some cell phone calls.
So they have figured out how to do that now?
Well, there's been plenty of figuring out how to do it, but this is a great mythology that's going on in the internet.
Young people aren't getting polled?
No. It is true. I mean, a lot of people under 35 that don't have a landline. Mm-hmm. Their only phone is that's factually true. But the idea that somehow it's that young folks that you reach under 35 with a landline somehow are voting differently than young folks who don't under 35 who don't have a landline and only have a cell phone. That's not true. Look.
Are there young folks who have landlines?
There's enough.
A few, 5 or 10. Okay.
Their polls are going to be wrong this cycle, not because they incorrectly knew if they had the incorrect number on young folks, that Obama's going to win young folks by 20 or McCain's going to win white women by 10. It's going to be the percentage of the electorates, okay?
Right.
So is Virginia going to be 19% African American? The electorate, or is it going to be 21%? Is Florida going to be 12% African American? Is it going to be, you know, that's where pollsters are going to get it wrong. They have miscalculated what the actual turnout is going to, the electorate's going to look like, not the number, you know. So, is there a surge in young voters? Is there a surge in African American turnout? Do Jewish voters in South Florida stay home? I mean, you know, all these different little aspects that can suddenly shift. A state number. Sorry for getting in the weeds.
But no. But for you, for you, the
makes me more interesting at lunch.
We have fun here. For you, the big date's October 15th, right?
It is. I just think after we've seen this the last 2 presidential elections, where the race was on October 15th is where the race was.
Because
there's a few things. First, you have the debates, and the debates are over. October 15th is the last debate. Second, now we have early voting. 20% of folks voted before Election Day in 2004. It's probably going to be 25 or 30% now.
And they tend to vote in states like Florida.
Right now, early voting is popping up everywhere. North Carolina already sent their ballots out.
Yeah,
all of Susan's family can start voting now.
What will be your first poll after October 15th? What date do you know? Like a week? Will you wait a week, or do you do overnight?
We'll go in the field. You want to let something like that settle. We'll probably go in the field. We'll probably come out on Monday, following Monday.
What's interesting to me is I think that there'll be a lot of books written about this race.
Yes and no. You know, there's no new information anymore. You know, the sad thing is the great book about this. I think there isn't going to be a great book immediately written about this election. It's going to take a couple of years, but that's another story.
My theory is that there'll be all these books on the shelves, the first African American, the first Republican woman, the story of Sarah Palin, the story of Barack Obama. And the book that will fly off the shelves will be the one that says why Bill did what he did, when and how, and why he didn't do other things. You know, that it'll all, in the end, when all the dust is settled on this race, that the Clintons will be the most compelling story.
Spoken like a Washington insider. Always worried about the Clintons.
I don't mean it that way.
This isn't Carly Simon, you know? This election isn't about them, that they think that they are.
But the media has been about them.
Some in the media, look, there is an obsession, and I do. It's like,
and you disagree with me? You don't think that he's one of the more, when this is all over, that when people like you are reviewing this race, you'll talk about Clinton?
I think the thing that we're all, I think we're seeing a generational, look, this is a marker election, not because of the first black man as a nominee of a major party, not because of Sarah Palin, first Republican non-white male nominated for on the ticket. It's both of them are post-baby boomers. Right. This is a marker. If John McCain does not get elected president of the United States, then Vietnam will not produce a president. Think about that. The baby boom generation, will have given us two presidents, neither of whom served in a war, served in Vietnam. Contrast that to World War II, which produced a bunch of presidents, or even Korea. Technically, I guess you can say Carter came out of Korea, sort of, since he was in the military at that time. But I think it's almost a fitting ending to the baby boomers. And I say this, and you can go through this on a whole. I think it's possible that this, and even with McCain's election, particularly if he's a one-termer, it will what has boosted him? It's this addition of somebody who looks like the future rather than who looks like the past.
Absolutely.
And so I think we're seeing a marker on the baby boom generation. Sorry for folks that are members of it, but this is what I think 08 is that you almost got to step back and say, this is what 08 is going to bring about. It is going to be sort of how 60s
But does that shut a door on Hillary Clinton?
I think it does. That doesn't mean that she will be the same age as Reagan in 8 years from now and could run when Reagan ran. No. I mean that. So it's always possible.
Do you think that?
But I think that there is this sense that once you sort of crash through the door, it's like, why did, no post baby boomer in 2000 seem to grab the brass ring post Clinton. It's sort of when you bust through the generational door, when you sort of shut it, I think we move on as a country. And look, corporate America is now being run by post baby boomers. Look at Google, the most successful. I've got this theory that the baby boom generation is going to have to really do some soul searching about what happened. And I think it should be Tom Brokaw's next book, right? So he's got the greatest generation, he's got the bust thing in '68, but it's how the baby boomers. There's an argument to be made in sports and this whole generation of leadership that ran the sports world, ran Wall Street, ran the business world, ran religion. Failed us as leadership, as leaders. And now it's the next generation's turn to try to fix it.
Do you think the media are mad at McCain for not being who they thought he was?
No, I don't know if the media is mad.
He hasn't had a press conference in a month.
Sort of, he created his own expectations on that. He used to be
the most accessible
guy, and which was always the lesson I would go to Republicans when they would say, "Why is it that?" I said, "It's simply because." A Democrat says to a journalist, "Can we go for a beer?" A Republican says to a journalist, "You have to stand in that corner over there at the event, and you can't move from there." And and McCain, was not the confrontational. So everybody said, "Well, how does he get such great press?" He just simply wasn't confrontational with the press. Now he's getting there. I mean, look, the press is made up of, and this is a newsflash, of human beings, right? Blood actually flows through my veins.
That's because you become one of them. That's why you think that.
No, and I've said this, when people ask about bias, I said, of course, journalists have bias because, again, they're human beings.
Yeah.
And all human beings have bias in some form. I happen to think most bias, as far as major issues are concerned, are geographically based. I would love to see one of the major networks. I would love to see. If all the networks were located in Wichita, the Wichita Eagle would be the most influential newspaper in the country.
Yes,
okay,
exactly.
And you'd almost, I wish Congress would move.